Another week and another preseason race for the Beer League. It is season number 9 about to kick off, and this time we swing to the French countryside where we get set to take part in motorsports history. Welcome to Circuit de Lédenon and the preseason race for the 9th season of the Beer League. My name is Ola Bamble alongside Austin Edstrom. We're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish from this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Austin, this track is steeped in racing history. It first opened for business in 1973. Since then, the principal layout has remained completely unaltered since opening day, and you can feel all of that history through the sprawling countryside with the ruins of an old castle in the background. You can feel the history behind this track, and we're ready to make some more this afternoon with the Beer League.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this one kicked off. Starting out the new season, new race car, new racetrack to the Beer League. It is going to be a fantastic one, a new story getting written tonight. Now, just a preseason race, but, you know, you got to get your toes wet before you jump all the way into the pool this season. Like I said, new car, got to get used to it. What better place to test it than a brand new track for us here?
We, of course, have jumped over to run with the Spec Racer Fords for this season, and boy, these little cars, they are one heck of a handful here, aren't they? They don't like elevation change. This track is full of it. They don't like being chucked into tight corners. This track is full of them. It's a true test of skill this afternoon, as right now, over 30 cars are ready to do battle just for preseason action, and this is going to give us the first real taste of what we can expect to see throughout the course of the next 9 weeks of racing action. You know for a fact these drivers are in for a fun one. The Spec Racer 4, I've always kind of described it as a hidden club racing gem, but it has proven to be an extremely popular car in the club racing scene. I heard at the SCCA runoffs they had a 57-car field with these in the real world at Road America. It helps that they are unbelievably cheap. Only about 3 or 4 total body panels on this thing in total. In fact, you can see the lines on some of these cars where those panels meet. It makes them cheap to maintain, it makes them cheap to run, and it makes them absolutely thrilling to door and beat and bang and race around each other as well as the Beer League returns to its club racing roots.
Are you saying I could go spend a couple $1,000s and build one of these things and go out here and race in real life instead?
Well, maybe not build one, but you can definitely buy one for about a few thousand. I mean, heck, you look up Spec Racer Ford for sale on Google. I've already found one that's selling for under 10. So, I mean, they are dirt cheap by race car standards, but boy, they have got some life. They got a lot of spirit underneath them. Let's ride aboard with Jay Kasich. He'll try to take us for a lap here around Circuit de Lédenon and really show you what it's like.
Really telling me that I put my iRacing money into the wrong hobby. It sounds like this would have been just as fun. But either way, we get to experience it here through the eyes of Jake Kasich out on the racetrack right now. A couple of hard left-handers to open up the lap.
Hard on the binders. Much of this lap is going to be spent as, whoopsie daisy, a little single car spin already. But a lot of this lap is going to be spent around the 3rd gear. You're never going to get up to 5th. You never get quite down to 1st. So you can see these drivers work their way around. He just went, well, he's approaching right now at Cormel, and that fires him back down the hill towards Camion and up to Cavalet. It's a bit of a almost a 90-degree right-hander right when the car bottoms out to hit the apex, and then it's another sharp turn straight up the hill on the approach to Servi through a left-hand sweeper where you pull a 180-degree turn and dive back down the hill towards Corvette. See him dancing
like it's
with
a very
that
difficult
throttle.
technical racetrack, right, Nolan? I mean, you know, you've got to be super nimble throughout the entirety of the lap here, other than the front straightaway. I mean, this entire thing, you're pushing this thing to the absolute limit, carrying a ton of speed, and you can just see that Kasich's just basically dancing with that thing.
You can see as well, pit road, blind, uphill. It is an extreme challenge drive this afternoon. I mean, there you see pit road, even in the middle of pit road, it's extremely uphill. I mean, look at that huge divot right in the middle of that uphill section. Doesn't make it any easier for these drivers. We're going to try to get a look at one of these cars. You see right there to the left, that was where pit road comes up and over the rise. It's an extremely blind entry. That's why they have to go through a little bit of a chicane to keep yourself from probably bulldozing into anything that might be on the racing line to slow you down a little bit. But you can just barely see the pit road sign. Nice and big, and only still half visible from the bottom of the hill.
A lot of unique challenges with this type of racetrack. Like you said, these cars are not liking the elevation change. This track, absolutely full of it. Not only that, you know, you're at a track that maybe the car doesn't mix so well at for safe and clean racing, and you're making it the first race of the season. It's got all the makings of a chaotic race. I think your hand might be worn out with all the replay button spams that we're going to get a little bit later.
Chris Hannigan has hopped back into the car after he took about a season just to come on up and broadcast with us for the GT4 season, and now he has hopped right back behind the wheel of Spec Racer 4, ready to get back to roots. And we talk about getting back to roots, let's talk about some of the other changes that we're going to be seeing. I think the biggest change we've got this season outside of the car, we're making a return to standing starts. The GT4 is not the greatest with standing starts, so they went to rolling starts. Now, we're back to standing. These drivers are going to have to do a lot of work if they're on that incline, though, to hold that clutch in to keep them rolling down the hill the second they try to put it into gear.
Do you get a false start for moving backwards?
You do. That's the worst part.
Oh.
So if anybody's starting on that incline, it's going to be a tough one.
Maybe a heel on the brake, toe all the way pushing the clutch down, and then 1 foot over on the gas, ready for it. Maybe, and then you release the heel as it goes. A little bit more technical than what we're used to over the course of the last couple seasons, but hey, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I'm intrigued about the added difficulty to it, and I think it's going to catch a couple people sleeping, right? I mean, it's a really big field that we have in the beer league week in, week out. I feel like that's going to bite at least 1 or 2 guys over the course of the sprint race and main event a little bit later.
You take a look at the opening few corners as well, right? Dubbed Triple Gauche, and for good reason. I like to compare it almost to Orem Park in a sense. You know, Orem Park, instead of it being, you know, an extremely hard braking zone like most road courses are, this one is a sweeping left-hand flick. Now, unlike Orem Park, this one doesn't narrow up by 4 lanes, and it's a much shorter blast to that opening corner as well. So there's more room to run, but that's going to create some real interesting moments with side-by-side battles, because they're going to be on the brakes from turn 1 all the way around to turn 3 when you finally really chuck the car in properly.
Yeah, the added tarmac here really lends itself to allowing side-by-side battles. Like you said, at Orem Park, the lane narrows up so much that you just can't actually go through there side-by-side. If you are too wide, you kind of want to back out like you're at turn 1 at Darlington. So I feel like here it opens itself up more for people being able to just throw their car down into the inside lane or somehow get to the right rear and go around the outside just later on the brakes, opening up an opportunity coming down to turn 2.
Take a look at some of the cars coming across the line now, as qualifying already something we're 9 minutes into. Casey with the provisional pole time, a 1:30.57 for the top spot for the time being, with 11 minutes left on the docket. 32 cars have so far put down lap times. There are 37 that are currently scheduled and ready to take to the grid. The bottom 5 have not put down laps. Alex Coffin right now back of the field, 7.4 seconds off of the pole sitter.
Ooh. A lot of guys having issues, man. I'm seeing guys spin out left and right. Just saw Ryan Verhulst spinning out, coming down into the apex of a corner. The elevation change, I can tell, is catching a lot of these guys out. It's just every braking zone is different here, right? You got a certain road courses like, I don't know, Watkins Glen, pretty minimal elevation change other than the S's, which doesn't have a braking zone. But you go to a racetrack like that, and you know every braking zone's pretty similar. There's nothing that's too different. You don't have to do anything too crazy. But a place like this, man, holy cow! Every single braking zone, every corner is wildly different than the last one you just came from. So you've got to adjust yourself perfectly for it every single time, lap after lap, especially whenever you're in a qualifying session like this. It's
a driver's track, and it's very easy to see why a lot of people love this racetrack. You see Brooks Clayton has shot himself to the number 3 spot. You know, we talk about this racetrack, it has thrived ever since it opened up. It's been a family-run racetrack from its inception. It was initially headed up by Jean-Claude Bonderon, and that his family continues to maintain, own, and run this track to this day. Ground first broke in 1971. In 1972, it was largely completed already. It was a bit on the flimsy side of safety, though, and France's Motorsport Federation, the FFSA, decided, nope, you need to make some upgrades to this place first. So it wasn't until 73 that it properly opened, and it held some small-scale events. 1977, that's when the national championship started to come here. Let me tell you what, several of them, they never left. They're still here to this day. This track continues to flourish, and it's easy to see why. This is easily one of those racetracks you really have to try to run it for yourself to experience what it's like to run around this place. You can tell right now, a lot of these inclines that we're seeing, the sim just doesn't do it justice.
I'm liking what I'm seeing so far just in this qualifying session. It's all about keeping that momentum high. Not a lot of heavy braking zones, but there's a couple, you know, medium-sized braking zones where you could potentially outbrake somebody. But for the most part in this track, at least in this car, it's mostly keeping that speed up, running the absolute perfect line through these twisty sections, keeping the turning ability in the front end of the race car at its maximum output throughout the entire lap is kind of what you're looking for. I mean, it's a lot of just throwing the race car down into these corners. You've got to have the perfect line. You've got to be on the brakes the perfect amount. It's going to take a lot to be good around here.
It sure will, and you know for a fact that everybody here is, again, going to be absolutely pushing for whatever they can do. These cars, they're all momentum-based. They're kind of like a more finicky version of the MX-5 in a sense, and I might catch some flack for that, but it's true. I mean, both of those cars, they can slide around easily. The difference is the MX-5, you're going to have a much easier time catching it than the Spec Racer Ford. These cars rely a lot on mechanical grip, and there is not a lot of it. So you got to be very, very tender with your movements. You got to be tender with the downshifts. It's all about, like you said, keeping that momentum, keeping the speed up. These downhill sections could prove vital for drivers to maintain some of those good runs. If you lose momentum right at one of these massive uphill sections, you're in for a world of hurt.
Well, and I think, I think it's those downhill braking zones that turn into an uphill acceleration zone. That's where you've got to worry, right? If you outbrake that corner, then all of a sudden your exit speed is shot and you're going uphill. That is a huge penalty to pay, and you've got a bunch of corners like that on this racetrack. So there's a lot of problem spots out here at Circuit de Lédenon, and I'd be worried if I were a lot of these guys come race time, especially these first couple laps. With a small, tiny race car like this, I'm expecting just about any little bit of contact is going to cause a good bit of air time, I'd say, right? I feel like there's going to be a good amount of flips this season in the beer league.
Well, it was just a little bit of an attempt at a bump draft there. Tanner Klein being given a shot to the shorts, courtesy of the number 12 card, Ryan Verhulst, just behind. So that's just invalidated one of Verhulst's lap. Verhulst, by the way, has not gotten on the boards yet. He is right now working his 8th attempt at trying to put down a lap. And he has not had a lot of luck this qualifying session. And the nose of that car is, I think, evidence of it.
Yeah, typically, you know, in a league where we immediately repair damage, if we can still see damage on the nose of your race car, it's probably not a good sign. For you to have wrecked it so many times that there has been a bug to where we can still see some of the damage on the nose, might need to back her down just a little bit. Just keep her within the white lines, get yourself a qualifying time in. It's just kind of escaping Ryan right now.
He's not going to get a time this time around because he gave that little nudge to the back of the 63. That would have given him, at the very least, a 0x. That would have invalidated his lap altogether. Alex Cofford shooting to the number 3 spot in this qualifying session. He's actually coming up over the hill, trying to see if he can't improve. He's got less than a 10th and a half up to Jake Case with the race lead. He will improve on his time, and that will actually put him straight to pole by a 1/4 of a second to boot. So once again, Cofford stomping on the competition right at the buzzer.
Great lap from Cofford. Is that paint scheme like one of those little whirly bird hats?
Well,
for a kid?
No. You see all the numbers plastered over the side? That's a paint template. What painters do is they put these on their car, and they can use those number panels coincide to what everything looks like on a flat surface, so you can tell very easily what exactly you're painting on the race car. Almost every car in the Irish service has something like this, and he decided, you know, forego the paint scheme. I'm just going to run this. So the 19 is the only real number on that car.
Yeah, not quite what I was thinking what it was. I was out of the ballpark on that one.
Well, there was an effort.
I think Cofford was pretty happy with that lap time, though, because he called it quits. And he said, well, good luck, guys. Somebody go out there and beat that. Good luck.
In true Cofford fashion, right? I mean, set the fastest lap, pull down, take it off the racetrack. Only go back out if someone gets close to beating it.
Still watching Ryan Verhulst, seeing if he can lay down a lap. I think this lap has been clean so far from Ryan in the number 12. So hopefully we can see what kind of pace he's got behind the wheel of that thing. We got a little bit of slower traffic ahead of him right here that he's going to have to get by, or he's just going to loop the car and take it down an access road. Typically not where you want to be. If you're hitting an invisible wall, you have done something wrong.
And, well, that is exactly like you said, right? I mean, you got to watch those little snaps, those little slides. They tend to happen a lot at that section of the racetrack because the whole car compresses on itself, right? And these cars, they don't have much in the way of suspension. So that's why they do not handle these violent elevation changes very well.
Yeah, it's like all the weight's being pressed down in the race cars that's coming up the hill, and it's just kind of a strange aero spot for the car to be in. It just, especially whenever you get to the top of the hill, that's whenever you really start losing the back end. I was kind of surprised that he lost it so early in the corner. It would kind of tell me that he either took too much speed in there on entrance, or his line was just way too narrow and had to put too much wheel into it through the center of the corner.
Could have been both.
But coming, yeah, it definitely could have. But coming out of the corner, man, you get to the top of the hill, that's where you've really got to worry. That back end gets really, really light on you, especially if it's just coming out of the corner. You're unwinding the wheel at the same time as the elevation kind of goes away. It becomes a really, really tricky spot, tricky corner exit for anybody to handle. That one, not quite the same situation, like I said. He was just losing it kind of on the apex of the corner, which I find to be a little bit weirder.
See a lot of these drivers really attacking that sausage curve right on the exit of turn 4 there, right on the apex, trying to take as much as they possibly can without getting an off-track 1X. Let's ride on board here with Ethan Conti, and you'll see what I mean. Here's turn 2. And this is 3. 4 is the first right-hander on the racetrack, right about here. Watch, see that anti-cut curb? Look at the car in front of him, just cut straight across it, trying to take as much speed as possible. It's a risky thing to do that, though, because you could very easily net yourself a slowdown penalty of 2 seconds or more.
How much time can you gain through there? Obviously, in qualifying, you're not really picking up that 2-second slowdown. Yeah, you have to serve it, but it's just going to dock you a qualifying lap. Whenever we get into the main event, into the heat race, that's whenever that's really going to start mattering, start counting exponentially more, I should say. So you got to watch out for that come race time. Going to be a tough corner, especially on the restarts, right? Whenever we're nose to tail, we got guys in battles. It's going to be tough. If somebody cuts that close in front, the guy behind might not be able to see quite where that line is and could cut it just ever so slightly too far.
Tyler Vanden, one of the last cars that has not put down a time, that is currently trying to get himself in with one. He is on his 7th lap, and he's only got 45 seconds to do so, so this has to be the lap. He's not going to get another opportunity. He's right now into the final sector of the racetrack. This could be close, though, as it comes down to the start-finish line. Desperate to try to get something on the boards in the final seconds.
Yeah, the heat race is nice because, you know, even if you have a bad qualifying spot, you have an opportunity to improve your starting spot for the main event, especially if you can get to the top 12. But if you're starting way in the very, very back, last place, because you don't even get a lap time on the board, it feels a lot worse. It's a lot more difficult to improve that starting spot as much as you want. So somebody like Vietnam, you gotta push, but not push that hard because you don't want to be at the very back. But that's going to do it for the driver of the 43. That's going to be his qualifying session. Done and dusted as he goes through the gravel.
Well, in all fairness, he wasn't going to make it anyway. There was only 5 seconds left on the clock. Couldn't get up to the start-finish line that quickly. But here we go. First sprint race of the season. Let's take a rundown of what that starter grid is going to look like. 37 cars ready to do battle. Alex Coffin lines it up on pole with 130.326. Alongside Austin Tucker, Jake Kasich starts 3rd. Brooks Clayton is 4th. Augustino 5th. Blevin 6th. Rondenberg 7th. Combs is 8th. Darren Bai and Josh Freed round out the top 10. From there, it is Steve McClendon, Ben Williams, Chris Bright, Michael Derby, Jason Lee, Chris Flemion, Ron Wolf, Todd Vidal, Chris Hannigan, Tyler Carlton, Ryan Murphy, Ethan Gandhi, Alex Harrison, Corey Barrett, Carson Catlin. Making a return for his machine for the 666. Greg Beckman is 26th. Then is Purcell, Castro, Klein, and Babcock for the top 30. Gambrel, Mailhawk, Kulikowski, Romano, Dupuis, Verhulst, and Vietnam round out the field. The bottom 4 not managing to put down times. So now just waiting on this field to grid on up. Austin, taking a quick look at some of the teams A new team making the entry here. Pit Lovers Finest, headed by Jeremy Castro. It's got Giovanni Romano, Verhulst, Gambrel, and Dupuis under the mark. That's going to be a strong team, along with Bob's Bug Boys, headed by Jordan Babcock. He's got Greg Beckman, Kyle Blevins, Thacker, and Copper recruited. Flying Jonah returns with the usual crew with Harrison, Campbell, Augustino, Casey, and Williams. Then it's Heralds of Galactus for Chris Hannigan, Christopher Flamion, Barrett Hall, and Adam Klein. COA Team 6 makes its long-awaited return as well. And we'll get to all of this with more as we get set to close things out. But for now, green flag drops. We are officially underway for the 9th season of the Beer League at the Circuit de Lédenon for the sprint.
Crawford with a good jump here on the initial start. Everybody seems to be getting away from the line. Okay, no issues further back in the pack from what it seems like. Crawford, Tucker, Kasich, all line astern as we head down into 1, 2, then into turn 3, the little kink coming back to the right. I see smoke back in the back. Big wreck, parts flying up in the sky as multiple drivers come together exiting turn number 2.
It was predictable as he got at least 7 cars or so around there at the back of the hill. Meanwhile, further down the field, you got a lot of cars that are still in the scramble. We got one stopped up against the wall. He's going to get himself sorted pretty darn quickly. And here is the Hornet's Nest deeper in the field. A few tracking out wide into the kitty litter. Getting back out onto the racetrack. No problems so far in the sprint race as the field working itself down in the round into the final set of the racetrack. Look at the 139 pitching in. The 24 and around goes Castro. He's going to get collected and around go 2 more.
Oh man, tough break there for Castro. Just a little bit of pinball and a little bit more back here. Brooks Clayton involved as a couple more drivers getting stopped on the racetrack here on the opening lap of the sprint race. It hasn't been crazy hectic for 40 guys out here, but there's been a couple little incidents already. One guy stuck in the pit road working lap number 1, so one retiree early is not what you want to see.
Not what you want to see at all, and that was a big mess that happened at the top of the hill as well, right out of the gate. Darren Bai was one of the drivers that initially kicked this off. Taking a look back on what happened. Because our first big pilot season, one driver just overshot, and it was on from there. But I think that was the same car that Castro ended up taking out later when he spun out.
This doesn't surprise me, right? Turns 1, 2, and 3 are almost one big, massive left-hand corner, and then all of a sudden you've got to get ready for a tight little kink going right.
Oh.
We might have a big one. Ryan Verhulst getting absolutely smashed. Coming up the hill. Big hit for Verhulst, tumbling down the running order. But coming back to turn 4, right on the initial start, any restarts like this, the standing start, everybody being so close, it just is going to lend itself to that kind of racing. A lot of contact coming through there to 4s. We have another guy around.
That car around is Corey Barrett. He'll get himself righted. Just a lonely single car accident for that one. 4-way battle here for the number 6 spot. Tyler Augustino hanging on from Chris Bright, Stephen Glendon, and Michael Durbin just behind. He got another 3-way battle for the top spot. Technically 4 if you count Kyle Blevins in that, but he is 2 seconds out, so a bit of a loose favorite to consider him in that battle for now. A lot of this field breaking up early on. Look at the 139 of Flams trying to move Hannigan with the bumper out of the way, if you could call it that.
Yeah, trying to get to the inside, down the front straightaway. Now it's a long run down to turn number 1. Can you keep the momentum in it? Avoids contact with them down the front straightaway, down to 1. Couple left-hand turns in a row, allowing them to get by as they sweep down into turn number 3. Chris Flams now firmly with the 11th place spot in his hands. Hannigan, though, under pressure once again. Romano already up to 13th.
Giovanni Romano is on the move. He is trying to see what he can get working for himself. You see him looking to the inside of Hannigan. Gonna send one up the inside. Easy move done for the Logitech machine. Cars around back of the field. Blake Gambrel looking like he might have had a spin. Has he collected anybody else down at turn 1? Doesn't appear so. This may have just been a single car incident. Oh, he collected somebody else.
Oh, that definitely not a single car incident. That was an explosion exiting 3. Holy cow.
That was Alex Harrison that initially spun out first.
That was just massive. Just parked in the middle of the road coming through 3. Some issue out in front of him into the back of the 39. Oh.
Just got that front and popped back on, and then immediately got kicked right back off again. And Hannigan is struggling here. He is technically up 6 spots, but ever since he made those positions up with that lap 1 pileup, he has been on the backslide ever since, losing 1 spot after another. That was Jason Lee just getting around the fantastic 4-spec racer Ford. You see him trying to sling one around the long way. Not going to get the job done, though. So he is going to keep himself steady. Tries to chase after Lee. Well, I got another side-by-side battle. This is all the way back for 28 with Verhulst fighting it out with Corey Barrett.
And Verhulst trying to hang on around the outside. Going to be tough to do, but he's got the momentum way out there. But the back end slips around, and Verhulst is just going to have to hang on to the race car. He's going to have to back out, lose the position. So the 12 car struggling. You were talking about Chris Hannigan. You know, I got to give him a couple weeks. I think the preseason race is something he needs, right? He's been out of competition for a whole season. Jumping back into it, got to give him a little bit of time to get accustomed to racing out here with these guys again.
Josh Freed, Chris Flams, Giovanni Romano, all of them under a blanket. A 3-way scrap for the 10th spot. Freed slips wide. That lets Flams through. He's going to take one up. Whoa, look out for the 338 of Michael Derby going for a spin. He's going to get a stop where it hits the racetrack. Backs it up. Got one more sideways and collected in the background. That is Greg Beckman that's now facing the wrong direction. And now Hannigan has dropped it.
Hannigan turned around the wrong direction, falling outside of the top 12, back to 16 for Chris Hannigan, and he's going to keep tumbling down the running order. 18th now as he's getting the thing rolling finally, maybe even losing another spot or 2. A couple side-by-side battles coming down the front straightaway as we head down into turn number 1, down on the inside, just deeper on the brakes. Able to get the move done just before we even get down into 2 and 3. It seems like if you can get the position down into 1, 2 and 3 doesn't even matter. Just get the positioning, outbreak them through turn 1, and you've got the move done.
Ethan Condi doing his best, trying to hang one around the outside of Darren By. It's not going to happen. He's going to end up losing that position. So now By trying to go after Ryan Murphy. Ronenberg, meanwhile, on the pursuit of Austin Tucker. Tucker slips wide. Ronenberg attacking for P4. We may have had another problem deeper in the field. This one involving Chris Hannigan and Ethan Condi.
From bad to worse for Chris Hannigan, just a little too low on the entrance of that corner. You could kind of see it bottom out. Down at the very bottom, got him completely turned around, just having to reverse that thing into the inside fence to be able to cut it back to the right and get himself back on the road. So a couple of tough breaks in a row there for Chris Hannigan, tumbling him down the running order, just about down to 30th.
And this is Condi, so it ended up being a completely separate incident. See, Condi had to lose a bunch of spots as he waited for a good hole to get himself back up in contention with the rest of the field. We're already past the halfway mark of the sprint. And you've still got a lot of these battles that have gone nowhere from the jump. Tucker, Ronenberg, Augustino, Bright, all tucked up, line to stern. Tyler Vietnam has just had to take a jump to pit road. He and Jordan Babcock may have just had it coming together. There goes Vietnam. And oh, whoa, okay, so Babcock, again, completely isolated in this. He swung out wide. This on the approach to pit road, swung out the other way, back and hard into the Armco.
Yeah, you weren't lying about these things being twitchy, were you? I mean, every time I see one of these incidents, it's somebody getting on the throttle pedal and having some type of twitchiness before a wreck. You know, it's not really a tight scenario a lot of the time. It's like somebody getting loose on the apex on their throttle point, having a big moment.
Tell you what, even the AI struggles to drive these cars. I mean, I've seen so many cases where they'll chuck it in, go spinning around. I've seen cases where they'll start to slide the back end just a little bit. Huge lock up for the 9, and that lets Lee sweep right through. So the battle between Brooks Clayton and Jason Lee continues. But I've only ran 1 or 2 official races with these cars, and let me tell you what, it is an experience. Oh boy, another problem. Approach to the final corner. As we got one in pit road, it's Giovanni Romano.
Calling it quits a little early there for Romano. Typically he falls to the back of the pack, but 5 minutes left from the sprint race, kind of a little surprising. But coming down, getting a look at what happened to the 63.
Just unloaded.
Just lost it.
Oh boy. Somebody clobbered him as well. Not sure who that was.
Yeah, Tanner Klein just stopped in the middle of the racetrack. Kind of difficult to do anything coming around that corner. You know, you're already committed through your braking zone that soon after the incident. Just kind of get stuck with nowhere to go. So hard to change the direction you're already headed through the center of your braking zone like that. In the downhill corner, tough thing to do.
Out wide goes Agostino. That puts him side by side with Chris Bright, as Bright gonna fight to the inside. Agostino, seeing if he can't work his way around, and he's gonna hang on to that spot. Bright not able to mount an offensive.
Thought Agostino had kind of thrown it away. I thought Chris Bright was going to be able to get there, take that spot away, but Agostino just doing enough to be able to fend him off. These guys fighting for, well, I was about to say fighting for points, but really it's a preseason race, so not really fighting for points. They're fighting to finish worse than the other guy, so they can start in front of them in the main event. That's really what's on the cards here. You know, being a preseason race, Nolan, would you just be fighting for 12?
I think I would. Find out what works, find out what doesn't. There's Alex Coffer doing Coffer things. He is now into somewhere.
He broke our timing. That's good.
He's somewhere. I don't know where he is, but he is somewhere. Ah, he split through 2 different runoff areas. It's where the marshals might park up usually.
That works. It's going to hand over the race lead to Kyle Blevins. Jake Kasich still on his tail, though. So now, all of a sudden, we've got a spirited fight for the race win. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock.
Kasich, a driver that started this race from the number 3 spot.
Kasich!
Around he
Kasich
goes.
goes around. Wow, he just got too deep on the brakes. Kasich was trying to make the move right there and then. Just got a little too excited there coming around turn 3. Just not enough in it. Or a little bit later, sorry, not turn 3.
Tyler Agostino seeing if he can't take away one more and get himself up to 4th. And you can still see Ronenberg with that 3rd place position just a little ways up the road. So trying to close in, but can't really rely on draft too much of these cars. You got to rely all on momentum, on being able to find that one good line through these corners. Well, everyone behind you is trying to mimic what you're doing to stay within touch.
I thought we were about to have a great fight for the race win here in the sprint race, but it got foiled in just the blink of an eye with Jake Kasich going around. Now it's going to have to be a battle for second with Tucker leading that fight. Eric Cronenberg in the 3rd place spot. Kasich just trying to rebound from his spin, get himself as good of a finishing position as possible. He still sees 2nd place up there, so he could very well go up there in the next couple laps and take it right back. But right now he's defending pretty hard here from Tyler Agostino.
The 69 still fighting with the 11. Up over the rise, 1 minute and 30 left on the docket. So final lap coming up this time by for the 2:48 of Kyle Blevins, who is now 4 seconds clear of the rest of the battle pack. You continue to watch the battle for the final podium position.
Austin Tucker has kind of separated himself here for second, right? He's got a second gap to Ronenberg now for 3rd. But it's really the battle behind him for 4th. Jake Kasich under fire from Agostino. Down to the inside as we come down to turn number 1. Agostino's not going to outbreak him. Kasich's going to do a little bit better around the outside. And coming down to 3, he's going to have firm advantage on that position. Be able to hang on to 4th. Can he set his sights in front of him and chase down Ronenberg?
He's sure going to try for it. See what moves he can get done. Well, something going on to the back here. This is with Ryan Murphy. Looking like Murphy and Klein may have had it coming together. 0-2 in the 63. A long ways back, so I feel like Klein may have gotten into Murphy as Murphy self-spun. Yep, that's exactly what happened there. He's going to both drop a few positions and get back rolling. Meanwhile, Kyle Blevins way out in front. He's got no competition to worry about behind. He's in a class of his own right now as the clock will expire. And this will put Blevins through to be the first sprint race winner of the season unofficially in the preseason race on Wednesday night.
Austin Tucker coming through to finish in second. Eric Cronenberg hangs on to third with Jake Kasich after his mistake, falls from second to fourth. Agostino rounds out the top 5 in the sprint race. And, okay, explosion down into the kitty litter.
It's the party.
It had a lot more bass in it that time for some reason on my end.
Well, it's all the parts, you know. Well, that was a good race for the first sprint race action of the season as more continue to pile in. Still haven't seen anybody clear the wall yet. These cars just haven't been able to get the oomph underneath them that these guys really need for that.
You got to hit the front end right, like it's a ramp. You got to hit it at the right angle.
We're seeing parts clear the wall. And, oh, couple get close. Do we get one? Not quite. Well, they're trying. They're trying to push one over the wall.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen here.
It's got one of the biggest parties you've seen down there as of yet in the beer league. Hey, there we go. We got one. We got one over the wall. Technically between the wall, but tomato, tomato.
The hood's going flying.
Yeah, take cover if you're over in the parking lot on that side of the racetrack, I guess. But I'll take a rundown of the official results for the sprint race this afternoon as we take you on through. Kyle Blevins with the race lead for the time being. He'll be starting 12th. Austin Tucker finishes his race down in the number 2 spot with Eric Ronenberg back in 3rd. From there, Kasich, Agostino, Bright, Flams, McClendon, Lee, Combs, Clayton, and Wolf round out the top 12, and Ron Wolf will start his race from pit road. So, with that said and done, we're going to take a step back. When we return, it's main event action on Green Flag TV for the Beer League.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Less than a minute away from main event action from Circuit de Lédenon. It was a pretty eventful sprint race, and we got another hour coming on up for the main event in just a little while. Austin, we've had the chance to see these cars in racing action in the racing environment. How do you think they're going to hold up over the course of an hour, though?
Ooh. I mean, it'll hold up fine, but with this new difficult race car, you know, I feel like one of the more challenging ones we're going to see on the beer league, you know, wheel, I suppose. Out of everything that gets chosen to be ran, I think it's going to be one of the more difficult cars to run, and we're at a very technical racetrack. I'm not worried for this one, but I definitely think that, like I said earlier, your finger's going to be having a workout tonight with the replay button.
It's the most difficult track so far. The Nordschleife calls, the Eiffel Forests, they hunger for the bodies of spec racer
Could you imagine with these cars? Yeah, I was about to say that would be.
We
holy cow,
have
that'd be
the
hell.
broadcaster's pick still.
Are you saying we use our power to bring the green hell upon these guys?
I'm not saying anything, but you never know. We could have, there could be something to the worst down the line. We'll have to talk about it, of course. But for now, we'll take a run down through your official starting grid for the main event. Ron Wolf is on the pole. Clayton second, Combs third, Lee fourth, McClendon fifth, Fleming Bright, Augustino, Casey, Rondenberg for the top 10. Austin Tucker finished second in the sprint. He starts 11th with race winner Kyle Blevins in 12th. From there, got Tom Badole, Ben Williams, Tyler Carlton, Carson Catlin, Jeremy Castro, Corey Barrett, along with Michael Derby, Ryan Verhulst, Alex Harrison, Tanner Klein, Greg Beckman, Ryan Murphy, Ethan Condi, Stephen Purcell, Blake Gamble, Chris Hannigan, Darren Bai, Jordan Babcock, Josh Freed, Bob Kulikowski, Alex Carver, Giovanni Romano, Adam Joseph Mailhawk, Tyler Vietnan, and Matthew Dupuis closing out the field.
Do these things have rain tires?
You know, that is a very good question. I don't know.
Oh, please. Oh,
I would be surprised if they didn't.
I mean, it's new, so I just don't know which ones they brought them to. It's definitely specialized, or not specialized, but, you know, there's only a couple series that really have it, so.
They do not.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Very sad. I was about to say, the Nürburgring in the rain would be insane at these things.
Anything in the rain of the
Alas.
Nürburgring is insane.
Well, that's a good point. That's at least something we could debate. That's something we can debate. That's definitely on the choices.
So many choices. That's why you don't give a broadcaster that kind of power, you know?
Talladega.
Well, I don't think they're going to swing for that one, but great is going to come to a close. Josh Freed, Matthew Dupuis not making the call in this one, as we are just now waiting for the last few cars to grid on up. The revs start to build. We're down to 35. Lights are on. Green flag drops. We're racing in the beer league. It is the first main event of the season, and a good getaway from Wolf as he hightails it down towards turn number 2. Still trying to see if he can fend off an ever-charge pack behind. Look out! Clayton going around. Lee going around. Lee gets clocked. He's going to recover. And so far, no problems through turn 1. Do they survive turn 2? That might be where all this melee comes from. And there we see one going around right on the apex. One car into the air, into the wall. Another one up into the air. It is a parking lot down at turn 5. Cars on top of cars and one upside down.
Verhulst, that's going to be it for Verhulst. He's going to have to get the tow unless he gets pushed over. But side by side for the race lead, John Combs goes and takes it away from Brooks Clayton after Clayton used a ton of muscle to take it away down in turn 1. And it led to a huge stack up, and then by the time we got down to turn 5, well, it was complete chaos, complete mayhem, and we see Ryan Verhulst still turned on his lid.
He's not leaving either. He might just stay there, see if somebody's going to come help him out and then come back around. Ah, he took the toe.
Oh.
Probably a good call on that one, but, well, the field now on their mad scramble down towards turn number 1. We'll get all the looks of that one, no doubt, during the cop yellow that's set to come out at some point throughout the main event. John Combs still with the lead, and he leads lap number 1.
That was an eventful first lap. It feels like a little bit more than just a minute and 45 passed. So much happened. But and it's still not really done. Brooks Clayton looked to the inside of Combs there. It got kind of nervy coming out of turn number 3. Neither of those guys really agreed on where to go. Both of them running wide on the exit of the corner. So maybe giving up a couple X's here, but everybody pushing for everything that they got.
I think this machine here, Tyler Augustino, swinging a little bit wide. The Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, number 51, having a bit of trouble trying to just keep it on the racetrack. As everyone else around him slicing and dicing, trying to keep it on terra firma. Overall, a clean race after that big mess that happened coming on down in towards turn number 5. But boy, that was the mother of all pileups on that deal. Let's take a look back and show you what happened again. This is what happened into turn 5 here. It all started with Chris Bright just getting a little bit too over-aggressive.
Yeah, coming down to the inside, I don't know if it was over-aggression or missing his braking zone, but either way, the result's still the same. A ton of destroyed guys on the outside of the racetrack. Verhulst tries to get it going, reversing. Somebody else gets it going at the same time and props him right over onto his lid. Has to take the tow on lap number 1, basically ruining your night. Up for second, though, Chris Flams. He just took third, and now he's looking to take second place away from Brooks Clayton, and he's making it look pretty easy coming through 3. The final left-hander here. Can he get the move completed? He's going to do it. He's next in line to challenge your race leader of John Combs.
Good show there for the Rusties. 139 as he tries to push himself up towards John Combs. Issues tail of the field. We've got a trio of them off. That's Hannigan off, Purcell's off, Murphy is off. And it looks like this one started with Ryan Murphy, and the other two may have just piled in.
The Blue Brigade did not get through this corner very well, it seems like. Coming on the exit of turn 2, Purcell just losing it all by himself.
That's
and then
Murphy.
A couple more just come piling in.
Oh,
sorry, Murphy.
Man.
Hannigan, definitely.
There's Purcell right there. It was the third car to get caught up.
There was a fourth one that went by too. We got 4 blue cars all destroying each other down in coming to turn 3. We got more coming around. The 63 coming back on the racetrack. Okay, that scared me. I thought we were about to have another yard sale.
There's no one behind him. He was fine.
There was a guy coming through there pretty fast.
Got a good, healthy handful of cars still tucked up in these little draft trains, and a lot has happened 5 minutes in. Among those, Alex Cofford on the move. He is up 19 spots in just 3 laps from the start, looking to make him plus 20 by the end of lap number 3.
That's a pretty ridiculous record, getting himself so high up the field this early on in it, up to 13th. Romano, the other guy that goes from the back to the front, only up to 18th. So Cofford making a lot of moves, and he's got a lot of guys that he can pass right in front of him right here, man. I mean, they're side by side fighting in front. Can he find a way by? There's also a battle for the race lead. John Combs is having to defend heavy from Chris Flams, and Brooks Clayton's around the outside too.
John Combs trying to see if he can hang on. Flams and Clayton going to end up getting involved in their own little do-wide battle. This is for the second place spot now, as Flams and Clayton trying to slice the dice amongst themselves. The 139 just hangs on from the number 9 car for the time being. Further behind, Blevins, Tucker, Coffer, Carlton. All of them still under a blanket. So they work their way back around to the bottom of the second divot in the racetrack. And up over the top of the rise. John Combs doing a great job on hanging on so far.
I think Flams is just a little bit faster though, man. I mean, he has just been able to hound John Combs the last couple of laps. He seems a little bit quicker, gets to the back bumper, maybe a mistake or two there, kind of drifts him back off, or Clayton gets involved in the battle and makes it where the 139 has to go defensive instead. But now fully on the offensive, coming down the front straightaway, all over the back bumper, and now down to the inside comes Chris Flams for the race lead. He's going to slide him down into 1 and easily clear him before we get down into the braking zone of 3. But here comes John Combs. He wants to go for a late move down to the corner, last ditch effort, but it's not going to be enough. The 139 to the race lead.
And around goes Todd Badol from that second battle pack on the racetrack. He's going to back it up into the grass to get himself rolling. No problems there. You can hear every time they chuck it in, the tires squealing for mercy against the pavement as they are pushed right to the ragged edge. And it is no easy feat keeping these cars underneath you for this long. They got a long way to go. It's an hour of racing. That's a lot longer than these cars typically run.
Yeah, these guys, this is going to be a long race tonight. There's no telling exactly, how hard can you push your tires over the course of this entire run? Are we going to be taking tires at the pit stop? What's the strategy call each season? It can change. We never know exactly what's going to be going on behind the minds of the competitors. Whenever it comes to the strategy, what do you do? What can the car take year in, year out, or season in, season out, I should say? Little things can change. Throw a loop in the championship.
Oh, one car straight on and hard into the wall is Ron Wolf. He may have had help there, I think. I saw them coming together quite aggressively, and what in the world? What was that all about?
Wall. He hit the inside wall.
No way, not like that. He was nowhere near it, surely. He never hit it, he turned right.
I thought that he had to have hit the inside wall the way he turned right. Oh no, the race leaders are together! Chris Flams and John Combs. Chris Flams just got turned over the nose of Combs, and Clayton's gonna go through. Ronenberg's gonna go through for second. So the two race leaders implode onto each other.
And now Jake Kasich trying to see if he can't claw his way back through the order as well. Take a quick look at what happened here as Brooks Clayton made the lunge for the number one spot. And, well, there you saw 32 just turning Chris Flams, and Clayton said, I'll take that one away. Thank you very much, good sir.
Yeah, if I'm Clayton, I'm definitely not upset about that one. I'm smiling ear to ear. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm having a pretty good time, just like the guy on the hood of his race car, I must say. That's a handsome fellow.
Brooks Clayton, Eric Ronenberg, John Combs. Under a blanket for the race lead right now, all of them separated by only 0.6 of a second in total from back to front. As Clayton tries to set something up for turn 3, and Ronenberg slides it out. Can he save it? No. He's going to spin it around right on the racing line. One car swings wide. That was the 11 of Jake Kasich that took it wide. He's going to go screaming into the weeds and get to rejoin, but that could have been a lot worse for him.
That still sucks for Kasich, having to go all the way back to 9th place, losing a good chunk of time. But like you said, could have been a lot worse. I mean, that could have been hard into the wall, losing 10, 15 more seconds than he did. But he's still on the back foot, losing 9th, back to 10th place. So Kasich really struggling after that issue here through Sector 1. Just everybody having to avoid Ronenberg after that mistake there from second place, going down into turn 3, smoking up the tires, just about back on the racing line, and Kasich just 2 wheels onto the grass, sucking them out further, and could never get that thing back onto the pavement, lost a chunk of time.
And he had to make a split-second choice there, left or right, and Coffin's car was still tracking left. He didn't know if it was going to stop, so he made that decision to cut to the right. It was probably a good decision, and definitely the less risky decision, but definitely costed him a lot more in the long run. But it's still a long way to go. We're just about to hit the 49 minutes to go mark, so he's got a lot of time to make that time up still.
Brooks Clayton and Eric Ronenberg, sorry, not Ronenberg, John Combs close coming down into turn number 1. Combs kind of looking to the inside, making Clayton think about it, having to cover it off. A little defensive from Clayton. Combs with a late look. Not going to be enough for John Combs, and Clayton maybe with a good enough run to be able to come down to turn number 5 without having to go defensive. It's close between the two, but he is far enough out front. He can run the normal line. Just get that thing through the corner as fast as possible. Try to get some distance, but it's just not panning out for the number 9. John Combs all over the back bumper as the two come down into turn 6.
So Combs and Clayton continuing to scrap it out amongst themselves. Eric Ronenberg, Michael Derby having a time of it right now. Further behind, Tyler Carlton and Alex Harrison are going at it. Oh, here we go. Fight for the lead is on. Combs to the inside of Clayton. Takes one away. Just as we look back to the field, Combs finally executed the pass in an unlikely spot and caught Brooks Clayton napping with this one.
Yeah, I felt like that one kind of came out of nowhere. He kind of lolled off the back bumper of Clayton there through the middle portion of the lap, and then all of a sudden he's back on the back bumper making the move. And now he's up to the race lead, but down this long front straightaway, Clayton in the draft firmly here. Can he make the move back down to the inside, coming down to turn one? He's got the momentum, but he's going to look around the outside.
Trying to go the long way, not going to happen. Flams thinking about attacking for the number 2 spot. Can he open up the door? No dice for the time being. It's really strategic racing these cars. You have to really pick your battles carefully when you have to rely so heavily on momentum and how easy it is to lose that momentum. Caught, by the way, with a fast lap at the race last time by. He is already into 5th, and we're not even 10 laps in.
Clayton already overdriving some entry points here now that he's on the defensive Flams. Coming up, trying to take the second place spot, not letting John Combs get too far in front here in the race lead. The Flams falling off the back bumper of Clayton ever so slightly, but both of them falling off of the back of your race leader. 0.5 of a second now between Combs and Clayton.
Cofford still looking to apply the pressure for that 4th place spot as well. Almost paranoid to look away from the front runners now after so much that has happened. And seemingly every time we try to cut back and take a look at what's going on in the midfield, but you know, you don't get anywhere without gambling a little bit, so we'll see. Giovanni Romano trying to attack Corey Barrett. We're tracking the battle down for 10th place with Derby and Ronenberg still in the fray as well.
Still a lot of battling further throughout the field. We were talking about Crawford getting up through the field. He's up to 5th. Looking at Romano now up to 11th from the back as well, and still shifting through the field. Kasich looking to the inside, down into turn number 1, trying to pick up a spot. Pick up what he lost whenever he went through the dirt. He's going to pick up one of them back up to 8th. He fell as far as 10th, so Kasich making some moves here now. After he's got some of the dust kind of wore off the tires now, right? Kind of getting back into a rhythm. He's picking up spots once again.
So far, a good, solid drive from everybody within this top 5 run. The only driver really that's lost positions in the top 5 was Steve McClendon. He's only lost 1. So everybody so far has had a stellar afternoon that's running within the top 10, top 15 or so. A lot of the big losers, you don't start to see them until you get back to the back half of the field, 17th, 18th, and even further on down the field for some. It's been a good run so far, but again, a lot can happen in this race. And now we've only run the distance of a sprint race. And that sprint race is wild in of its own right. Still very, very curious to find out what's going to be happening with this field throughout the next little while as well.
Nolan, you were talking about some of the big losers. I mean, we can talk about Chris Bright, started 7th. He's down in 33rd. Ron Wolf started in 1st, down in 34th. I mean, some guys that started up towards the front, all the way at the back of the pack, man. They started in the top 10, and they are nowhere to be seen.
Where others flounder, though, others thrive.
Oh, Flams! Flams from 3rd. Goes
And-
around down in turn number 3.
Oh, boy. He just got clipped, and now
Oh, Romano.
right across the nose of Romano.
Oh, no.
Talk about not checking your blind spot. Jeez. Now
Oh,
the
and they're still
248's into the wall. Right
There's
as we're
somebody else in
praising how
three-wrecking
good
too.
the... We're just praising how good the race these guys have. And now 3 of them have just dropped it within about 30 seconds of each other.
Do you think they're done, or do you think they continue? They're side by side for 3rd right now, so I'm a little scared, but it looks like Crawford's got the move done, putting himself onto a podium spot. And we've still got 43 minutes left in this thing. Crawford is mowing through the field.
So there's Flams, and who's the one that
Oh.
hit him on the tail end, I wonder? Oh, it was the 51 of McClendon, and then just right across the nose of Romano. It's like he just wasn't even looking at where he was going. Then you had the 243 of Tucker go around at the same time as all this. This is the 751 having a spin at the same point. Man, there's a lot that went wrong for this field all of a sudden. I'll tell you what. It's not a good run for a lot of them. Kyle Blevins, this is his spin. Down into the corner, just too much speed. Kicked the tail it out. Got over the little transition there. That sent him wide into the barrier.
Oh, they're side by side for the race lead just about. Clayton looking to the inside. Combs just covering them off as they go into turn 3. Almost had the overlap. Almost didn't let Combs turn in for the corner. But John able to get out in front, able to clear the nose of the number 9 yet again, and able to stay up in the race lead. But what these guys both have to worry about, yeah, it's nice they're up here battling for the race lead, but you've got a guy that started 33rd 18 minutes ago that's up to 3rd, and he's only 3 seconds off your back bumper. You better be watching out for that guy.
So the top two continue to remain in the battle of their own. All that chaos about 2 minutes ago has seriously broken up the middle of the pack. So now the closest actual proper pack is Blevins, Flams, Williams, Madole. This is about 13th through 16th. They got about half a second or 4/10 of a second between them, between each car respectively. As well, Brooks Clayton has just dropped it.
Way off the road, man. Way off the road in the last corner. Through the kitty litter. I mean, completely lost. I don't know if he got in too deep or lost the back end, but Clayton.
Back end.
Bad commitment down into the corner, back end stepping out. And Clayton gonna lose a ton of time down the front straightaway, and he's gonna lose second. Crawford only 2 seconds off the race lead. It's less than that now.
He did a good job to catch it, though. When he flicked that wheel, that easily could have caused him to overcorrect to be facing the wrong way indicated later, and then you've got an even bigger problem ahead of you. So all things considered, he did an okay job of getting that thing back out onto the racetrack. You see him now trying to push to the back of Crawford. Meanwhile, Kyle Blevins, Tyler Carlton, looking like they're about to exchange hands. In fact, they have exchanged hands. Blevins makes the move on Carlton, and now Carlton trying to look back for the inside. Not going to get there. 248 continued to hang on for one more turn.
All these guys fighting side by side, fighting for position. You never know whenever that yellow flag can come out. Give yourself an opportunity to get back into this fight for the race win. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of track position. Got to time yourself out right. Not sure exactly how the fuel windows are going to be working out with the spec racer for this season. But a couple of these guys could play a little bit of strategy games because it could be a bit of a question mark for a lot of the field tonight. Looking back here at Carlton, trying to work himself up to the field. 2 guys in front of him. He very well could get up to. Flams, Blevins, just right up the road. But both these guys were running up towards the front of the field not too long ago. Now to the back parts of the top 15.
Ben Williams and Tom Madole just a little bit behind them are close, as in fact, Madole looking to make the move, and the Yamaha machine breezing by Ben Williams like he wasn't even moving. So making quick work of the 187. Now Madole has got his sights set on Carlton just up the road. So Tom Madole on a good charge as he looks to power his way back through to pick up Tyler Carlton. Deeper in the field, you got a side-by-side battle. I'm pretty sure Carlton just dropped it right as we cut away. But you can see this battle down the front stretch between Joseph Mailhot and Jordan Babcock side-by-side. Mailhot takes another one. There's Ben Williams and Tom Madole scrapping it out. Carlton nowhere to be found, and this is why. Again, just putting too much input in on the entry. So racing action continues on as normal. 38 minutes and a half left on the dock with this one. Jason Lee, Ethan Conde continue to scrap it out amongst themselves. Steve McClendon, Michael Derby. Right now, nose to tail. They're headed up a pack of 4. Ronenberg and Giovanni Romano just tagging on to the tail end as well. Romano has had a time of it trying to get through this field. He's now on the back of Ronenberg, and, well, he nailed this car just a few laps ago. Now trying to see if he can overtake him, and this time not result in a T-bone accident. We have just lost Austin Edstrom, so we're going to try to get him back as soon as we can. But for now, Michael Derby, Steve McClendon continue to scrap it out amongst themselves as McClendon continues to get something sorted with Eric Ronenberg just a little ways behind. Giovanni Romano in the mix as well. Alex Cofford has reeled in John Combs. The gap there now under a second. So we'll keep tabs on the leading battle. Oh, look out, the Frosted Flakes machine of McClendon for Flying Donut Motorsports. Having a bit of a step out. 4 cars all nose to tail into the final corners and up over the rise. Derby continuing to hang on for the time being. They've been getting closer and closer over the last little while. Agostino has just got around Brooks Clayton for the number 3 spot. And there we see McClendon try to attack Ronenberg, and it didn't work. A lot of battles picking up. Among those is the battle for the lead. Alex Cover gonna get around John Combs as Combs swings it wide. Didn't put up much of a fight there at all as he just stepped the back end out, drifted out, and Cover said, I'll take that one away. So Cofford into the lead of this race. Derby, Ronenberg, Romano, McClendon. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whoa, Ronenberg! Steely one down the inside, picks off Derby. And now John Combs slided out the back end again, and it looks like this time he may have fully lost it. Once again, over the hill, cutting in. Exact same thing that we've seen so many times in that section of racetrack. The back end just comes around on you, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Look at Austin Tucker, or Jake Kasich, sorry, really defending big time against John Combs. Combs pushes him down the front stretch. The 11 to the 32. Still in the heads-up dogfight for the 4th place spot, and it's a similar story deep in the field here as well with Ronenberg, Derby, Romano, and McClendon still not letting each other break away. Kyle Blevins and Chris Flams, they're going to exchange blows as they'll swap for the 12th place spot. As Blevins now cuts in, you see the 139 having to go at it as well as he tracks things through. Now working back up the front straight, well, not quite the front straight, but yet another one of those uphill sections. The 139 still doing his best to try to keep close, really hounding the gearbox of the 248. Trouble for Agostino as he's going to drop 7 positions. In fact, he's going to drop all the way back to 5th. So something going awry for Agostino here in this one. Take a look. Well, that wasn't quite what we had in mind. This is a bit further back. This is a better look. Oh, what in the world? I think he just lost sight of where he was, got into the kitty litter. Might have been trying to look for pit road and missed the mark. Ronenberg's in, Catlin is in, so green flag pit stops are underway. No yellow flag as of yet and approaching the halfway point of this race. One swinging out wide. Battle is on for third. John Combs picks off Brooks Clayton round the long way now into the back of Kasich. Nearly sending Kasich around. Let's ride on board with Augustino with a front row seat to this grudge match. Trying to find a way to capitalize, trying to find a way to get through. And there's Brooks Clayton coming into pit road. A sharp uphill and then a massive deceleration point. Whoa, round goes 3:38 as Michael Derby having to lock it down as he got down into pit road. That was massive for Derby on that ride. It's like a ride on board with him in the 3:38. Realized the pit entry was just managed to get it slowed down in time. Now, whether or not he is held for an unsafe pit entry, we'll have to see, but I don't think he should. I think he made the cone. A healthy handful of cars in pit road right now. Looking for the 19 car on the track map. That is your race leader, Alex Crawford. Right now, leading the way. And in fact, he's just had to give it up to Jake Kasich. I think he had a slowdown penalty to serve. So Kasich, with the race lead, now takes over the top spot. See just how nimble these cars are as they work their way around this racetrack. Crawford now running down the hill. John Combs was pushing, and now Combs quickly backing off. Here comes Crawford, here comes Combs. Very late calls into pit road for the both of them. So the number 11 on your track map, now the race leader. Still with about 10 cars yet to come down to pit roads. There's still a good handful that have not come down, including the bunch you're watching right now on the front stretch. As the 22 running in 6th gear. Darren Bye's got a problem as he is trying to limp that thing around, but this car is very slow on the racetrack. He might be out of fuel. Trying to just limp it around in neutral, and there is the yellow, and that seals the deal. Darren Bye's going to be forced to pull it off to the racetrack and down and into pit road. So, yellow flag is out for the first time this afternoon. Jake Kasich is your race leader. This has put quite a few of these cars dangerously close to that fuel window. Now, what's set to happen here, nobody quite knows. Up over the rise, pit road is closed. So they're going to have to go all the way around one more time. They're going to have to really be hoping that they've saved enough to try to go the distance. Yellow flag out for the first time of the 9th season of the Beer League. Back in a moment on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are just coming to the close of a bit of an extended yellow under this one. The caution came out about 10 minutes ago, 10, 12 minutes ago. They've had to sort some issues out under this safety car period, which is why we have been pacing for so long. So we do thank you for your patience. After pit stops, Clayton is up in front with Agostino in second. The top 14 were all able to pit under green flag conditions. 15th on back had to wait until the safety car period. So that is why we see drivers like Jake Kasich and Giovanni Romano so far down the running order as it stands. But overall, as a preseason race, that's been a pretty good one. We've been able to really see what these cars have been capable of over the next few days on Green Flag TV. There's a lot to be excited about. The Speed Cup Series kicking off playoff season from America's biggest, baddest racetrack on the NASCAR circuit. It's the Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama coming at you live tomorrow night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. The SRA Mini Stock Series has their season opener at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Track Hawk 50 at the Last Great Coliseum. And then it is ASRL for the Next Gen Cup Series at the Chicagoland Speedway for round number 11. And then that takes us, of course, all the way back around to the 14th of October, where the High Tide Race League MFRD Premier Series goes racing for their first road course race of the season. And America's home for motorsports, the Charlotte Roval, playing host to round number 5. Pace car is off. Field is stacked up. They are doubled up. They're ready to rumble. Off the final corner, Clayton launching early. Green flag is up in the air. We're racing once again at Circuit de Lédenon. So the field working himself down to the turn number 3 and 4. One car way out wide and into the sand trap. No problems yet, though, on the racetrack itself. As we drive it down deep into turn numbers 3 and 4. Still no issues throughout this field. What about through that ever-critical first hairpin where we saw that big pile up early on? Nope, no problem still. So overall, save for Chris Hannigan, going way wide off the road, a clean start, and Brooks Clayton hightailing out with 20 minutes to go. Chris Hannigan, it's a weird incident, just driving in deep and bringing it to a quick stop down in the sand trap. Watching the battles for 11th on back, side-by-side, double file throughout the mid-pack as Jake Kasich and Giovanni Romano try to claw their way back through the field. Tanner Klein hugging the inside. Overall, this field on with a good drive in this one. There you see Carson Catlin. You see Steve McClendon. Double file on the racetrack as they work it down the front straightaway. The Hales Satin machine trying to hang on against the Kellogg Fawcett Flakes. Number 51, they both make a little bit of contact there. McClendon able to hang on and fend him off with a spot. Meanwhile, Tyler Carlton, saw him having issues earlier on. He is now all the way up to 5th as a result of the lucky timing of that yellow. Corey Barrett is just behind him. And Clayton is spun out. So your race leader off the racetrack, and that is big news. But first, Jordan Babcock taking the toe to pit road after this. He just dropped in, decided the call of the night was not worth his night to stay out there one more time. But this is your race leader having huge issues. But this has dropped him from the lead all the way back to 13th, just locked up. And the tail end swung round. How about this? Been a 3 wide for a moment, one around in the background, and that is Kyle Blevins. Meanwhile, Klein, Catlin, Romano, and more. Scrambling, dogfighting off the track goes Tanner Klein. Snap of overseer puts him off the racetrack. Agostino continuing to lead the way for now. Double file all the way back through this field. A lot of scrambling going on as drivers fight for whatever positions they can muster in the closing minutes. Slamming on the binders, the 139 of Chris Flams, taken to the inside of Michael Derby. Picks him off for the spot. Crawford is still trying to claw his way through the field behind, but not having much luck with it as he's now going the long way around John Combs. For now, though, I think Crawford's going to have to just play the waiting game, wait for some of these drivers to make mistakes in front of them. Eric Ronenberg has really been piling on the pressure here to the tail end of race leader Tyler Agostino, trying to find a way to get through. No luck thus far. Maybe has something into the final corner if he can carry some momentum through here to the pit straight. Trying to dive with the car, hops, and that's going to end up stalling out much of that momentum. So dead even again as they ascend the hill. Off the road is Carson Catlin. He's going to drop a healthy handful. And that moves Crawford to 14th now. So Crawford continuing his drive through the field. Giovanni Romano last lap by, put down the fastest lap of the race. 1:30.05. And Ronenberg's through on Catlin and immediately spins it. Agostino back to the lead as Ronenberg clatters into the Armco. Pure frustration there. He made the lunge. He made it work. But got too greedy, and that put him down and out. Tough race for Ronenberg, and then here's Steve McClendon having a problem of his own in the moments following. Boy, a weird moment there as he gets put 3 wide and way on the outside. Romano is driven back to a top 10 now. And he is now looking to see if he can't hunt at least a top 5, if not a podium. 13 and a half minutes, he is still very much in a position where he can do so. Romano makes the move. He's up to 6th. That was Ethan Conti that had just put down a spot. Double file behind. Kasich clawing his way by Chris Flams. Brooks, Clayton, and McClendon sit just in the wings. The 11, the 139, the 9, and the 51, all under a blanket. Clayton up over the hill. Chris Flams still in the mix. Tyler Carlton has dropped it. Carlton around to the 45. Issues again for the brushless brigade machine. Just a lazy little slide. And that's all she wrote. How about Romano now into 5th as a result of that mistake? Now pressure with Dole for 4th. He's only 5.6 seconds off the leaders. If he can get up there, Crawford has still got a chance, but it's a chance that is ever a fading one. Oh, and around goes Greg Beckman. He's going to get nicked by Catlin as he came through. Almost takes out Klein. Up the road, Ronenberg has lost it. And another one's lost it. Catlin did lose it. So a lot going on here at the top of the hill. Hold on, let's take a moment to dissect this. So he's going to get in deep, loose the back end. Ronneberg then gets into the grass, and he's the one that caught Catlin and just put him around. And just like that, Romano is back onto the podium. One by one, drivers start to lose their ground, start to lose their touch. Cofford, Clayton, Tucker, Combs. All trying to scrap it out. Flams gets around Condi, no issues. Although it took he took a lot of curb there. I don't know if Condi would have gotten a slowdown from that. Doesn't look like he was fazed by it. Gotta be careful about that though, because you never know. We're going to take just a little bit too much. Ten minutes on the docket. The 13. The 139. In a mad scramble for whatever they can get underneath them. It is right now a single file freight train from 4th all the way back to 12th. Battles on for the race lead. Tyler Augustino has Ben Williams under a blanket right now as he has been put under heavy fire. 9 minutes left to go. Only about 6 or 7 laps are left. Augustino does not have a lot of time to get something working for him. Giovanni Romano's momentum in trying to close up to the top 2 has stalled out. So if Williams wants to have a go at Augustino, now's the chance before Romano finds his rhythm and starts to really run them down. He's looking for the inside, down to the turn 6. Can he get it through 5? He does. Ben Williams now to the race lead for the first time all night long. And a bit of 3 wide. 3 wide right now for about the 4th place spot. The 13 cuts back. Look at Flams shooting for the inside of Kasich. 3 abreast, 2 corners in a row. Kasich hangs on. Madol hangs on. Flams forced to back out. It's getting hot and heavy though in the French countryside. Still 2 abreast. Still nobody willing to yield, and the round goes Kasich. He's dumped by Flams. They just came together. Flams immediately pulls off to the side. He's going to look to redress, and he'll take the tow. Didn't want to have any part of what was left of this race. It's just a preseason race. No points on the line. That all starts next week. Chris Hannigan trying to fight with the 338 of Michael Derby, and into pit road comes Condi. Condi could not go the distance. That doesn't bode well from anybody else in this pack that's been pushing hard, especially your race leaders. 7 minutes to go. Hannigan trying to hang on. The 338 of Derby in the fray as well. Does Derby look for the inside? Not quite. Not quite. Boy, what an effort, though. He is really gunning for whatever spots he can get. They're also fighting deep in the field as well. This is for 17th. A 4-car scrap under fire. Jason Lee, Ryan Murphy, Darren By, Kyle Blevins. All in a fray. And there you see the 22 making a run at the 8, the 248, thinking about pushing it 3 wide. Thought better of it. Jason Lee cutting down to the inside of the racetrack. Oh boy, big bottom out there. 3 wide now once again up over the hill. That'll get tight, and it'll be the Silk Cut Jaguar that will keep things in tight for that number 22 of the fight for 17th. Constantly exchanging blows, dogfighting back and forth, left and right. Look at Lee trying to send one up the inside of Blevins, but Blevins wasn't having it. Up the road, Combs, Badol, Clayton, and Moore under a blanket. This fight still yet to be decided. 5.5 minutes to go. Boy, what a good race we've had so far this afternoon. I mean, this has been absolutely stellar. Oh, bit of a lockup for a few. Got to be careful, and around has gone Combs. John Combs around again. That drops him out of the top 10. And that could easily be game over for any kind of meaningful position for him this afternoon. Up over the rise. Trying to size things up. Look at Clayton leaning on the back end of Todd Badol there. So they fire back down the hill and in towards the final corner. Thinking about an offensive. Couldn't quite close in the gap. Clayton makes the look for the inside. The 13 trying to hang on. Oh, around. Gonna go. Carlton, tail of the field. He saves it. Now the 13 to the 338 going at it. McClendon trying to get a lunge down the inside. Tucker trying to get a lunge down the inside. Still no dice. What a wild outing we have had this afternoon. You know for a fact that these drivers have been having a time of it. Now, the question is, have they been enjoying this race? I'm sure for some they've gotten more pleasure out of it than others. Ben Williams, I'm sure, isn't disappointed with how his day has gone as he has continued to hang on to the race lead for the last little while. And now with only about 3 minutes, 2 laps on the boards, Williams trying to do his darndest to hang on with whatever he can muster. Oh, trouble. Covert is around. One of the heavy hitters is around, and that is Covert taking it right across the infield. I think he has had just about enough of this race himself as well. He has taken himself completely out of contention with that. Final lap coming on up this next time by. As Badol and McClendon still looking to battle it out. Look at how close that 51 car has been trying to flirt with the tail end of the 13. Up the road, Brooks Clayton reeling in. Corey Barrett now pulling alongside him. Round the long way. Corey Barrett, I think, has a slowdown. Sure does. Barrett with a slowdown penalty. He'll now hold the inside, and that keeps Barrett at bay. Ben Williams off the final corner. He takes the white flag. 1 lap to go. Into pit road comes Corey Barrett. He couldn't go the distance. Corey Barrett forced to make a pit stop with 1 lap to go. He'll drop out of the top 10. He may very well drop out of the top 20 with that. Meanwhile, to the race lead, Ben Williams trying to cling on to whatever he can muster. Augustino looking to reel to the gap. Romano is right there. Does Romano have what it takes to try to go for victory in the preseason race? Through Sector 2 and entering Sector 3. Final few corners on the racetrack. Only one massive downhill push to go. And if Williams can cling on through the final corner, he should be able to have just enough of a drive to get up to the hill and take the preseason race for the Beer League's 9th season of competition. Clock officially expires, making this the final lap. Up the hill, Augustino nowhere close. And Ben Williams walks it off. He wins the preseason race at Circuit de Lédenon. Here comes the rest of the main battle pack up behind. And they're going to be able to clock in some good times of their own, while everyone else will let the party commence. Down into turn number 1. What a wild night it was this afternoon. What a way to kick off yet another season of competition. You know for a fact that these drivers, they're going to be looking forward to this season. This could very well prove to be an extremely challenging season for a lot of people. Holy cow. The 12 goes absolutely ballistic. That's the 22, sorry. Here comes Blake Gamble to join the party. He's going to abort just at the last minute. Greg Beckman not afraid. He's going to come piling in. But that is that. Your first preseason race, well, your only preseason race, is complete this afternoon. Just waiting on the last few cars to come across the start-finish line. And we will officially put this race behind us. But it was a race to remember for sure. And no doubt, it's going to be a season to remember for sure as well. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results. Ben Williams with the race win by 8.5 tenths of a second ahead of Tyler Augustino. Giovanni Romano with a great recovery drive picks up third, only 1.4 seconds off the mark. Brooks Clayton was fourth, Tom Abdul fifth, Tucker was sixth, Derby was seventh, Kasich eighth, Ronenberg and Klein round out the top 10. From there was Alex Harrison, Ryan Murphy, Darren Bai, Jason Lee, Corey Barrett, Stephen Purcell, Steve McClendon, Blake Gamble, Greg Beckman, Adam Joseph Mailhot, Tyler Carlton, Kyle Blevins, John Kilms, Carson Catlin, and Bob Kulikowski for the drivers that finished on the lead lap. Bright, Crawford, 1 down. Verhulst, 2 down. Flambion, 6 down. 13 down was Chris Handian as he retired right after the restart, along with other drivers like Jordan Babcock, Tyler Vietnam, Ron Wolf, Jeremy Castro, Josh Freed, and Matthew Dupuis. The bottom 2 did not make starts this afternoon. So that is that then, as we'll look to get a chit-chat here with all of the drivers that finished tonight's preseason race up on the podium. And what a day it was this afternoon for none other than Ben Williams, the driver that was able to come home, pick up a very, very solid drive this afternoon, as we're able to try to get in touch with the 187. There we go. We found him. Going to bring him on down here, and we'll drag your preseason race winner into the broadcast booth. Ben, it was a wild one this afternoon. A lucky caution falls your way. You pitted before the safety car period came out, and that caution jumped you right to the front, and from there, it was a walk-off for you.
Man, it just I just got lucky, and I click well with this car, so I'll take whatever I can get.
Of course, it is just a preseason race, but there's still a lot more to come. You mentioned this is a car that you really click with. It seemed like a lot of other drivers struggled with it this afternoon. How does this one suit your driving style, and what are your aspirations for the season?
Honestly, it doesn't really fit my driving style well, and I have a lot to work on with like the basics, so it just forces you to remember to brake in a straight line and get it done early. So I'm just hoping that it just improves me as a driver as I continue the season. Maybe another first place in one that's not a practice round.
Championship-wise, do you have a target you're looking to set for yourself already?
Top 10 would be great. You know, I'm usually like in the top 20, so sneaking into the top 10 would be nice this season.
Wish the best of luck then in that goal. 9 races are ahead of you, and we'll see if this Spec Racer Ford will end up playing out to your favor this season.
Appreciate it.
Ben Williams comes home, takes the win in the preseason race, and, well, it's 2 drivers up next that are quite familiar with the Green Flight TV broadcast booth. Among those is Tyler Augustino. Tyler, up and down day for you throughout the most part, but it ends on an upside for you. To kind of walk through this race tonight, because this car and track combo was a handful for most.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think my key to success today was just keeping it pointed straight. There was a big gap of people behind me that were catching me, but had an incident or two at some point in it, and just lost that key 10 seconds or so. But yeah, I think I'm still coming to grips with this car, and I tend to underdrive things anyway. So I think it kind of worked out being a little bit of preseason race. A lot of the fast guys still getting their feet under them too. Ended up with a good result in it, so pretty good day overall.
We look forward to what's coming on up next. The Spec Racer Ford, not a car that necessarily likes a lot of the tracks that the wheels seems to certainly like. The drivers' tracks could prove to be a challenge this season. How do you reckon your season is going to pan out as a whole?
Well, I think we just landed on Montreal, so I'm not really looking forward to that. I wasn't looking forward to tonight either. A very technical track. I think it's going to come down to whether it's tracks that I know, and I'm, able to just focus on adjusting to the car. But when I have to focus on both of them, it's going to be a struggle. So optimistic. I think I'll eventually find some pace with it and hopefully finish the season out strong. But we'll see how it goes on some of these technical tracks.
Well, in that case, we'll wish you the best of luck when we hop back over to the Pacific and swing up north to Canada. We'll talk to you again, hopefully next week and beyond.
Thanks, guys.
Tyler Augustino comes home second place for the driver out of Glastonbury, Connecticut, and that brings us on down to Giovanni Romano, a driver we didn't get to talk to too much last season. Gio, you come home third place. You were one of the cars that waited until the safety car period to come down to pit, and then you had one heck of a recovery drive ahead of you. Consider you started back in 18th or so on the restart, third place in only about 20 minutes. That's really not something to shrug off.
Yeah, it was a very fun restart there because you had just an absolute mix of drivers in the midfield due to how the caution fell. So the battling was great. I think you'll see this season some excellent battles because this car is so I don't know, it seems to make for some really feisty battling. It's because it's momentum based and it's quite small. So you got like 2 wide, 3 wide on the restarts, and without crashing, which is important because the GT4 we could do 3 wide, and that usually always ended horribly. So yeah, it should be it's pretty fun.
We take a look at how the season could pan out. Of course, you've had to make a big adjustment from the GT4 cars that, well, they're momentum-based in their own right, but a lot quicker than these much more nimble Spec Racer Fords. How have you had to adjust your driving style from one week to the next in order to get this car under grips?
Well, it's a much more raw driving experience, right? Like, there's no ABS, no traction control. None of the fancy gizmos. Like the diff is kind of weird, and it will spin the inside tire on full throttle and stuff, and but makes it's just a different challenge. And what I really like about them is the visibility, because I drive in VR, and you sit super high up in this open seater, and you can just see everything, and it makes it really fun when you're battling people, because you can literally get right up to the bumper of the guy in front of you and not hit him, because you can see the nose of your car. Basically, it's like a go-kart almost. So It's very immersive.
Well, we will see the season opener take things up towards your home country. It's going to be the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up in Montreal to kick things off of the season. Are you confident that you're going to be able to have a good Audi in your home track?
I don't know, because I think we'll see something that we'll probably see a lot this season, where if we get a bigger track like Montreal, for example, with a lot of long straights, we're probably going to be pretty draft locked. So it's going to be tough to break away from people, right? If you're, within a second of on pace with someone, they're probably going to be locked in with you. So it'll make the battling very interesting, but it'll be tough to, get separation on people behind you and such.
Well, we'll wish the best of luck, and we'll see if we'll be speaking to you once again when we go racing in Montreal next week.
Yep, see ya. Looking forward to it.
Giovanni Romano takes home his first podium of the season. It is just the preseason race, but still a long way to go for him. And there's still a lot left in this championship as well in this season throughout. There's a long season ahead of us, and boy, it is going to be a fun one. You can just tell. I mean, these cars so nimble, so agile. It's going to be a wild one for sure. Be sure to check out the Speed Cup Series when they go racing. That will be out at the Talladega Super Speedway for round 1 of the playoffs. And, of course, with that, we'll be seeing the SRA Mini Stock Series kick things off as well on Saturday night for their first ever race at Bristol Motor Speedway, with the SRL out at Joliet, Illinois, to go running at the Windy City. That's all we're going to have for now. Bit of a shame that we couldn't get Austin in for the rest of this one, but hey, sometimes tech problems become tech problems, and well, not too much we can do about that. But the time he's able to join me, he has been Austin Edstrom. I've been Ola Rempel. If you want to find more about who you are and what we can offer you, check us out today, www.greenflighttv.com. We'll see you next week when we go north of the border in Montreal.